Hello, everyone. Back to another episode about the movies with William Fletcher. As per usual, I am your host, William Fletcher, and I am, as I have been many a time and many times in the future, I assume I shall be joined. Does that make sense as a sentence? Probably not. It's very hot, so
just
if
about.
I get
walking a certain line.
And I'm right there. I'm joined by myself, as I've been joined before many times.
And likely again.
Likely again, yeah. Yes. There will be an episode we've already recorded for next week that hasn't come out yet, but that we recorded like a week ago now.
In that case, I will be back.
And for this week's episode, also this episode will be going out later than it usually will, so it'll probably go out the same week as like the next episode as well. So you'll get like 2 episodes this week. So
lucky people.
Yeah, you get double the amount of content. So lucky you guys. You get, because I didn't want to miss this episode because I was really looking forward to it. We're going to be looking at Wallace and Gromit, a full retrospective of the whole franchise to tie into the release of Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul, which will be out, I mean, in Australia and possibly on Fountain Cinemas already. Yeah, it'll be out in. I mean, I've seen it already, and it's available in Australia, like cinemas. But then it'll be on BBC. Is it? Is it on BBC iPlayer on the 25th?
They're showing it on Christmas, I think.
Yeah, BBC iPlayer in the UK, and then it'll be on Netflix January 3rd, I believe, is the day.
Yes.
Frankly, annoying to me. Just like release it on Netflix the same day as you release it on BBC iPlayer.
Releasing.
Like, what is the point of that? I don't understand it. It's ridiculous to me. But yeah, Wallace and Gromit, we're going to do it. Yeah, talk about the whole thing. We're going to sort of mainly focus on Curse of the Were-Rabbit. That's sort of going to be like the centerpiece of this discussion. And we'll sort of, the shorts will sort of be the entree and the dessert either side. The film is the main course, and then you've got the entrees on one side, and then you've got the dessert on the other side. We'll say the dessert isn't that great, so it is going to be a bit of a disappointing end.
Okay, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into an argument then.
We're gonna get into it, yeah. So for me, Wallace and Gromit, I honestly can't point childhood memory Wallace and Gromit. Like, I've been aware of it for like years. I've been aware of it for a long time, but I can't pull any specific memory of watching the shorts or the film. Like, I can't pull any of that to mind. So I can believe it was shown to had seen it, memory of it. So to me, basically, when I watched through the shorts and the film, it was basically like watching it for the first time.
Yeah, no, these, like the shorts and also the film, yeah, they were on in my house constantly when I was younger. I was a real fan. I would consider myself a lifelong fan of Wallace and Gromit. I don't necessarily remember the exact first time I ever saw it, but I do remember it being on a lot when I was a kid.
I think that, I mean, I guess the top. I mean, yeah, you haven't talked about Aardman in any, because you went on for Chicken Run. So what sort of Aardman as a studio? Because I think it's for me, my general feelings are they're kind of a bit hit or miss in terms of what they make, because I mean, if you haven't listened to the Chicken Run episode, I thought it
I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan of Chicken Run. I still haven't seen Chicken Run 2, and to be honest, I don't really have a desire to, but I probably will.
If you're not a big fan of Chicken Run, then it'll be let down by Dawn of the Nugget.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even people who like Chicken Run don't like Chicken Run 2. Like, everyone,
I really like Chicken Run, and I didn't care for it.
What else did they do? Shaun the Sheep movie, I really liked. I haven't seen the second Shaun the Sheep movie yet.
Was really good. The second one, Farmageddon, that's decent.
Yeah, Arthur Christmas, I saw once.
I've seen that a couple of times at some point. Early Man is the film I'd point to and say, "Oh, that's their shit one."
Yeah, is that the? It's like
they've made weak films, but I'd say that's the one that I'd say It's a bunch of cavemen playing football, and it's
They also did Pirates. Is it?
The other two that we've not mentioned yet, they're other ones that were they weren't quite Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep, but they were on every now and again. Flushed Away and Pirates. Band of Misfits. Is that what it's called?
It's got it's also
It's got a
got
few
I
names
think
actually,
that
because
Pirates
some
Ninja.
places I think
Yeah,
it's
a few
just
different.
pirates,
Yeah.
and then sometimes it's pirates
On Letterboxd
in the
it says the
adventure with scientists.
Pirates Adventure with Scientists. But yeah, that's sort of just the general feelings on.
Yeah,
on
so that's
Aardman.
just everything they've done.
But yeah, I mean, stop motion animation. I mean, we did Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride when we did our Tim Burton retrospective, and I think we both said then we have amount of respect who do stop motion animation just because it's a fucking nightmare.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, case in point, these films as well.
Yeah,
Good God, how do you get out of bed just to get through like a second and a half of footage completed in a day?
So Wallace and Gromit specifically. Let's like sort of get specifically back onto Wallace and Gromit. The short film. Okay, I'm gonna. Do I want to say? I don't want to make any aspersions.
I know what you're about to say.
I don't.
I mean,
look. I want to say straight up. I like the short films. I want to say straight up. I do like them. I'm gonna make this abundantly clear. I do not dislike the short film, but I do wonder how much of the love for them is a bit nostalgic based. I don't look, and yeah, I do like the shorts. Do not get me wrong. I just don't get. I've seen people describe them as like funny, and I don't think I get that from the shorts. I get that from the film. I don't get probably the funniest.
To be fair, I do. The film is, I'd say, funnier than.
Yeah, I will say. Yeah, the film's funny,
but
and I'll say
I do
this.
think there are a lot of funny things in the shorts, but I think I get a bit more out of them than just funny bits.
Yeah, no, I'll say this. I will say this. Probably the best bit of any of the shorts is Feathers McGraw. Like the man's cold. Okay, the man's.
I want to get into him later.
Yeah, we'll get into. We'll yeah, a little tease, but we'll talk about Feathers McGraw a bit later on.
Well, while we're talking about funny bits, I will say the funniest moment in any of the shorts is when Feathers McGraw's got Wallace locked in the cupboard. He turns around, Gromit's there with a rolling pin, and then he just pulls out a gun. I think that's and just the musical cues of boom.
Yeah,
boom.
I'll say this. I'll save this for later on. If mine, it's because it's about Feathers McGraw, but I'll just leave it for later. Well, we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Leave it for later. Yeah, I like the shorts. I think my favorite one is probably the Feathers McGraw one. He's wrong trousers, right? I'm not misremembering. Yeah, that's probably that's the best one. Yeah, I think that's
that is
most, yeah, that's the most.
Shall I get into this now? But I think that might be my favorite Wallace and Gromit thing.
Oh, okay.
It's a great little short film.
No, it's really fun. It's definitely the best shorts. I think I would take the films over it though. I definitely take Curse of the Were-Rabbit over it at least. I'm not.
It's close between Were-Rabbit and Wrong Trousers for me.
Wow.
Yeah, no, well, actually, tell you what, we might as well. I feel like we should get into Feathers McGraw later on because obviously he's going to be in Vengeance Most Foul, and I feel like we can't go down the route we're going without talking about him.
I feel like we kind of have to, yeah, because I think he's probably my favorite piece of Wallace and Gromit, like lore, like in terms of like all the individual elements I love about Wallace and Gromit. Feathers McGraw is kind of my favorite part of like he's just like.
And to be fair, he is brilliant.
He is so brilliant, and like, look, Vengeance Most Foul. I'll say this: I'm not gonna like give any spoilers, but fantastic. He's so like he's like there's so many great bits with him in it, and I don't want to mention any of them because they're really great. But there's like I will say there's no
spoilies.
There is some really funny moments with him sort of throughout. Like this, like I was in a pretty cinema when I saw it. You know, it wasn't like full up, but it was decent, and there were some moments that really tickled the audience, like, and they're sort of nicely peppered throughout. But yeah, I think Feathers McGraw is genuinely really funny. It's just like
he's really funny and he's quite intimidating.
Like yeah, I love that they were able to make a penguin the most intimidating thing. Like.
I'll tell you what it is. Aardman's really good at doing expressive characters. And then you break out like Gromit. I
Yeah,
think he's one of the most expressive characters of all time, and he communicates just with his eyebrows. But Fez
yeah,
McGraw doesn't. He's got no
no,
emotions. He's just blank, and it's fucking
yeah,
creepy.
yeah. There's nothing behind those eyes. He's like
Yeah,
like a fuck like he's got black eyes
yeah, pretty
like
much.
a
I was
doll.
just gonna say
Like
that shot.
there is nothing like that. Yeah, and that's so
Yeah.
great as a villain because it's like they make him. He's such a legitimate threat. Like he's played for like laughs. Like he has like fun moments, but never forget to. Oh, but this guy's also serious, like a serious threat.
Yeah,
Like he
that
just
bit where
he just pulls out a gun.
the bit where Gromit he's like leaving home, and then it cuts to Feathers McGraw in the window, like rubbing his hands together. I'm like, that
Yeah,
guy is
it's
fucking
so
cold.
great. Yeah, I mean, he's like a big part of why Vengeance Most Foul works because it's like every time it sort of cuts back to him, it's like, oh mate, that's like some of the best bits of the film.
I love how much genuine hype there was surrounding the fact that he was coming back.
Also, I will say one of my favorite things, just in anything kind of, is I just love it, and it works with animated films a lot. When Feathers McGraw, he puts like that glove on, and like, oh my god, where'd he go? He's a chicken.
Oh yeah,
Like that kind of thing.
yeah. It was like, oh, who's this chicken? And then suddenly Gromit sees him put the glove on. It's like, oh my god, it's him.
I really like. It's so stupid, but I love. This is great. This is so fun. This is like the kind of shit that's like, I don't even know why. It's just like a weird box tick where it's like if you do that, I'll be like, yeah, fuck it, I don't care. I just like that.
I don't remember what it is.
Kind of thing.
It was like a Western or something, and somebody sees a wanted poster, and then they see the person, they've got a mustache on. They're like, is it the same person? And they draw the mustache on, and they're like, oh my god, it is them.
But yeah, I mean, we can't just talk about. Because I'd love to keep talking about Feathers McGraw, who's like one of genuinely.
Should we talk about some of like the other villains?
I just want to say Feathers McGraw, genuinely one of my favorite characters, just ever.
Yeah,
like,
I love him. I can't get enough of him.
I just love him so much. He's genuinely one of my favorite things. I mean, there's not McGraw. I mean, Wallace and Gromit, the characters. I think the Wallace and Gromit in general is one of the most inherently likable things. I don't think I've ever met anyone who said Wallace and Gromit is shit. I don't think you will ever meet anyone who dislikes it. I think you'll find. I feel like you'll find people who are at varying levels. People like this is like a 7 out of 10. And then you'll go up to like 10 out of 10. I don't. Yeah, the shorts. I feel like the shorts are generally more beloved than the film. I feel like when people talk, like if you were to ask someone sort of their favorite piece of Wallace and Gromit, I don't think there are as many people who would say the film as opposed to
no. Well, I guess maybe because that's not. I think it's because it's not been out for as long. I guess we can start talking about the film a little bit here because we're both big fans.
Yeah, talk about sort of. Yeah, the film is the best thing of the best Wallace and Gromit. I really for the first time in a few years. And I'm just looking at this Letterboxd review here, which I think does sum up something. Does sort of sum up not my feelings per se, but I do think it's quite poignant. They say too often when we wonder who the greatest living Englishman is, we forget. Asked $30 million to make an internationally released feature-length film about marrow-growing contestants in Lancashire, and they said yes. Nick Park is he's a talented man. That Nick Park, I think he is. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is one of. I mean, I'm just gonna say straight up, this is one of my favorite films. Just kind of.
I think we're both in this camp.
Really, like. I think it's one of the best, not just animated films. It's just one of the best films.
Yeah, no, I think this film is absolutely. I mean, I was singing the praises of The Wrong Trousers, but if we're talking feature films, this is an excellent piece of work. There aren't many flaws I could really point out in it.
I think it's because I feel like people because it's got scale. Which I feel like some stop motion animated films kind of lose a bit. I like this film is great because it keeps the British roots. Like it's not like a massive end of the big, and I think that's a thing that works. So
well, the climax, it's like a whole King Kong thing.
And I do like that it's willing to. It's not just because I don't think this film would be as great if it did kind of Jork Films thing and just stay this little quaint British thing. Like I think it needs to go it's not to say that it isn't like quaint and sort of it's not like a big film, but I think that for a film, you do kind of need to go a bit bigger, and I think they go
It's the
about as
suitable
big as
level
they.
for making a Wallace and Gromit film. This is the right level for it to be at.
Yeah, and I'll say that is kind of an issue I had with Vengeance Most Foul for sort of some of it. I was like, okay, I feel like we could go a bit bigger here, and it got into that level as it went on. It just took took some time to sort of get to the level I wanted it to get to in that case. But yeah,
I mean,
think
this film is like a first Wallace and Gromit in that, apart from characters that are integral to the plot, we actually see other people living in the area that Wallace and Gromit live. In the shorts, it's only speaking characters. Apart from that, no one else is there. Wigan has just turned into a ghost town.
And let's talk about the cut, because we haven't actually really talked about Peter Sallis, who is fantastic.
I mean, one of the iconic voice performances of all time.
Had to replace him for Vengeance Most Foul. And I'll say this, it is basically indistinguishable. Like, the new guy who they got doing the voice for Vengeance Most Foul, he basically couldn't tell the difference. I'm like, okay, this could have been... It's not like in Rick and Morty, where they got new voices for Rick and Morty, where it's like, okay, I can kind of see, like, this isn't Justin Roiland. Like, these are different people. I can tell these are different people. But the guy doing... Because that was sort of a thing going into Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, where it's like, okay, how different is he going to sound? And I really probably couldn't tell the difference. If I put like both of them up and I compared them, maybe, but it wasn't that different to me. It didn't stand out to me as being overly different. So I'm like, yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, Peter Sallis is fantastic. I think just such a great voice, and I just think he's there's just like it's just it's the accent. I think we've talked about this before. But there is like a good English accent where it's like that just works. So that just helps a film. And I don't know why. It's just because it's not the kind of English voice you hear, I feel like in a lot of stuff that has English characters, you don't hear this kind of voice. Like,
yeah, you don't get many people from Lancashire.
Helena Bonham Carter, though, I think we talked about this in the Tim Burton episode. She's a remarkable talent. I think Helena Bonham Carter is like quite possibly my favorite. I think she might be my favorite female actor. Like, I genuinely.
I think I might be in that camp.
I can't think of who else I like more. I think she's just an incredible. Even in bad films, she's usually good in them. Planet of the Apes. She's one of the less.
Alice in Wonderland.
The Apes.
She's pretty good in that. I remember.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it, but. Just because it's one of the most ugly-looking things I've ever seen in my life. She's one of the better parts of the 2012 Les Mis.
And she's not really being particularly Helena Bonham Carter-y here.
No, but I think it's like her bringing her Helena Bonham Carter, like...
Yeah, she did the job well.
2005. She had 4 films in 2005. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Conversations with Other Women, Wallace and Gromit, and Corpse Bride. Yeah, she's just one of those actors where it's kind of like, if I hear the film, I'm kind of like, oh, she's one of those actors where it's like, oh, I should probably go see that thing she's in, because she's just, I'm sure you have actors like that too, where it's like,
well, Helena Bonham Carter is one of those people for me.
But yeah, we've also got Ray Fiennes.
Speaking of one that, I'm like, I was going to say Ray Fiennes actually, he's one that I'd say, ooh.
He's, again, a fantastic actor. Again, I don't think I've ever filmed a performance from him and been like, yeah, he's not that good.
I mean, he's really camping it up in this film. I really enjoyed that on the rewatch.
Oh, he's fantastic.
I kind of forgot how big he was.
Genuinely a fantastic. Yeah, I love, probably one of my favorite bits in the film is when he realizes that Wallace is the rabbit, and he just looks at Gromit and just has the most evil fucking smirk on his face. I'm like, oh, that's fucking
grins.
good. Yeah,
I really like the bit in that same scene where Gromit's trying to get out the car to help Wallace, and the little dog like shakes his head at him. And then when Wallace starts turning into the were-rabbit and he's like scratching at the door trying to get in, Gromit just shakes his head back at him. Gromit's a fucking savage.
But yeah,
speaking of this, we actually haven't spoken that much about Wallace and Gromit as characters. I feel like we should.
We haven't really mentioned. I mean, look, Wallace. Gromit rather is probably the best dog in anything.
Yeah, no, he is the goodest boy. in cinema history.
Yeah, he is the goodest of good boys. I don't think I can. Like, I mean, we've talked about who else dogs in fiction, and it's like it's Gromit. It's Gromit. Gromit is the answer.
I was gonna say, if I was gonna
like
get a dog, 3 names that I'd choose from: either Ralph, Snitter, or number 1 choice, Gromit.
Gromit. Yeah, genuinely the best, the goodest of good boys. Like, I just can't think of a dog who I like more than Gromit. Like, I love Doug from Up, but he's not Gromit. I just can't think of.
Yeah, he ain't no Gromit. Randy from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
The plot is, I mean, it's a werewolf parody, which I like werewolf stories. I haven't seen many werewolf stories though, which is really disappointing.
Yeah, we should get more. Well, we're getting Wolfman in January, which I'm kind of looking forward to.
Bit more. Look, it's probably gonna be good. You know, Lee Winnell, I like Lee Winnell. He knows what he's doing. The Invisible Man film he did was excellent. I loved it. I really, really liked the Invisible Man film. Yeah, I mean, the plot, basically, some rabbits, they're getting in, they're eating all the vegetables, they're eating the carrots and the cauliflowers, which, you know, I'm not a big cauliflower guy, I'll be honest. I don't really like cauliflower that much. I like carrots.
Vegetable. Yeah, carrots.
Yeah, I like carrots though. I enjoy some carrot. I enjoy carrot cake. What do you think of carrot cake? Because I like a good piece of carrot cake. I'll be honest.
It shouldn't work, but it does.
I'll put carrot. I'll put in some lettuce. Lettuce, like, some lettuce is nice. Some lettuce is like not so nice. I like cucumbers, even though there's like no taste to cucumbers. They're just water.
I was supposed to just like water. It's like the vegetable equivalent of watermelon.
Probably why I don't mind cucumbers, because I'm just like, yeah, it's just basically just
good
putting
for me, and it's just water.
Solid water on my food. Nice, effectively what. But yeah, these rabbits, they're eating all. But yeah, rabbits. They got to deal with these rabbits because there's like this big like competition in it. Like they're trying to do. Yeah, which is quite a common. I mean, I've never been to one. I can't examples, but I feel like it's been in a lot of like. There's like lots of like.
A very English thing. Have a
British
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna like in English. Never heard about it in Australia.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a very English thing.
Which, I mean, is the whole point? Is it just to see who's got like
trying to stop them? I don't know. It's just about big vegetables. I don't get it.
Yeah, it seems pretty arbitrary and pointless to me. Like, you're just comparing vegetable sizes. Seems kind of pointless to me to be like, oh man, this one is better because it's a bit bigger.
Humans quite enjoy comparing the sizes of things for no real reason.
It's arbitrary. I mean, with sports, it's just this arbitrary competition that doesn't mean anything. It's like, why are we doing this? It doesn't matter. But it is that kind of thing where it's like
from eating all of the vegetables, and Wallace does this thing where he's got this machine that can get rid of unwanted thoughts, and he accidentally does some brain swapping stuff with a rabbit. And when the moon's out, he turns into a weird rabbit.
A big old rabbit, which, I think that's a fun little premise. I don't think it is like
the science is kind of nonsense enough that it still works.
Yeah, it's like, but like, really cares? It's like, have you seen what Gromit can do in these films? Like, you can't complain about realism. It's like, it's literally what like.
I wasn't going to.
No, I'm just saying I don't think it really matters. Like, if people tried to complain, I'd be like, why? It doesn't. I'm not saying you're complaining. I'm just saying.
I don't think anyone does, to be fair.
No, I don't think they should. But, yeah, I think it's a fun because it's big enough that it's like you can't really do this in like a short. I feel like this a feature like thing. It's kind of the worry sometimes with when you're making sort of going from like a short format, like a TV show, and it was like, how do you this being a film without it just feeling like a long episode of the show? Like a lot of TV shows, I feel like can struggle sometimes where it's like, okay, this just feels like you're doing a long episode of the show, but this feels like a fully justified. It's a proper film. Yeah,
this is the Wallace and Gromit,
which is good. That's what I like. I think
that's what you want.
That's I talk about I mean, cinematography. I mean, again, it's just a beautiful like stop motion animation.
It's a lovely film to look at.
almost like just the design, like the production design, I guess is what it is of the sets.
Yeah,
like,
I think Aardman is great when it comes to production design. Just little details and stuff that they throw in. I don't need to.
Yeah, so much
nice.
personality. Yeah.
You know something that I noticed on the rewatch today that I hadn't seen before? When Quatermain goes to the priest and he's like, show me this book about monsters and stuff. The name of the author on the book is Claude Savagely.
See, this is that kind of thing where it's like there's a lot of really nice background details. You can sort of watch it a few times over and pick up new details.
That shot
look at that
where Lady Tottington, or whatever her name is in the church, and there are some wings behind her, and then a shot of Quatermain, and somebody's got like a pitchfork behind his head that looks like devil horns.
Yeah.
That's directorial things like that.
Yeah,
that I really
inventive.
Enjoy.
Yeah, framing and cinematography that I'm fully on board with.
Sort of fun stuff that Aardman's always doing. But...
I mean, a lot of Vengeance Most Foul has that as well, where it's just like there's so much detail packed into so many shots.
What I want.
And it's just like they don't skimp out on this. Like they go all the way. They fill like as much detail as they possibly can fit into like every shot, and that's just great. There's so much that they can do. With just every shot, there's just so much to look at. It's just like visually,
so much love and attention put into everything. And
I mean, again, this film is just sort of in this British town. Like, it's not really like a massively.
It's I believe it's meant to be set in Wigan.
It's not like a particularly interesting area in concept. It's just like this smallish town, but there's just so much personality to it that it's kind of like, I don't really need it to be like this big thing. Really just everything's just every scene is just so great. It's I did find it quite funny actually, which, like, as I mentioned before, I don't find the shorts that funny. This one I actually did find quite funny, and I don't know what it is about.
I don't think the humor is that different. I think there are more kind of wordplay jokes in here than there are in the shorts. I think the shorts do a lot more visual stuff, whereas this seems to do a lot of visual stuff and a lot of word stuff.
I don't know why it is though, because I don't feel like it's that different.
What I call crap jokes, but I find them really funny. Like at the end when Were Rabbit's on the roof and something gets knocked off, and somebody in the crowd says, "Oh, be careful! There might be a massive rabbit dropping."
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I do kind of love stupid jokes like that. Like, I really do. Just
they really need to try and contrive a way of getting the joke out.
Very. I'm all for that. I can admit that it's really dumb and not that clever, but I just find it funny, and I don't understand what it is. It's just like, it's hard to explain because there are jokes where it's like I can explain.
It's anti-humor. It's funny because it's not actually that funny.
Yeah. Like there are things where I can explain why I find something funny, and then sometimes it's like I can't explain why this is funny. It just is.
Yeah,
I don't know how that happened, but I think it's this is a really fucking good film, man. I love this film to pieces. It's so.
It's been a favourite of mine for. There was a time, several years ago where I rewatched it and I thought, oh, it's not quite as good as I remembered. And then a couple of years ago, I came back to it and I was like, oh no, I love this film.
Yeah,
I forgot.
And I'll say this is the best DreamWorks film because it is like technically a DreamWorks film. It is.
You like it more than Puss in Boots too?
Yeah, I think I do. Really
I wasn't surprised.
They're like really close together. I'm gonna be honest. They're really close. Both are great. I love both of them. I don't know. Yeah, it could like change.
And that's because I've been a fan for forever. Anyway, since we're moving to wrapping up, can I mention one more thing that I really think is great in this film? And I think this is true of Wallace and Gromit in general. The music.
Oh, it's
I think
just
this one's
such
got
it's so
wonderful
delightful. It's delightful. Yeah, like the main Wallace and Gromit is just absolutely delightfully.
One of the most catchy pieces. Or the music in the model railway chase in Wrong Trousers. That's a great piece. But the kind of theme they put in this film that comes up a few times. I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, I mean, I think based on how I've been talking about it, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's one of my favorite films.
I don't think we're hiding any secrets that we're both giving this film 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I had it down as a 9 out of 10 before, and I bumped it up to a 10 on this watch. It's phenomenal. Like, genuinely, I can't really think of anything I don't like about it. It's hard to hate Wallace and Gromit, although I will say A Matter of Life and Death isn't that great, to be honest. I'll say that. That's probably the weakest Wallace. It's not like terrible, it's just kind of not that amazing. But yeah, Curse of the Were-Rabbit, it's just it's one of the best films, just in general, not just animated. I mean, it's in my top 10 animated films, and it's in my top 50 films. Just, it's great. And I mean, like I said, if you haven't seen it, go. Like, seriously, just doesn't matter if you've seen like the shorts or not.
If you've made it this far, what are you doing?
Yeah, go watch it. It's remarkable. It's
watch all of Wallace and Gromit.
A contender for my favorite film of watch it all. Yeah, and it's a contender for my favorite film of 2000.
It is my favorite film of 2005, no doubt.
I think the only thing I might like more than it is Serenity, which is the Firefly continuation.
Firefly, yeah.
I also do really love Grizzly Man from that year. Grizzly Man is a really great film.
He's the big bear.
Yeah, Grizzly Man is such an.
I really like Grizzly Man. It's not one of my absolute favorites from that year.
I really like Grizzly Man. It's a great film. Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for me, Curse of the Were-Rabbit. And if I might quickly put a rating on, so if you don't mind me running through that, I might as well put a rating on those. Let me just get the list up so I remember them all. So I can just check. I've just got them up so I can see my rating. So I gave A Grand Day Out a 7. I gave The Wrong Trousers an 8.
I thought we were going to go through it together.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, Grand Day Out, I gave it a 7.
I gave that a 7.5. I think it's a solid start, but it's not quite what Wallace and Gromit would go on to be.
Yeah. The Wrong Trousers, I gave an 8. Probably my favorite.
I'd give that a 10. I absolutely love The Wrong Trousers.
Ooh.
It's a fantastic short film.
I give A Close Shave an 8, but it's a bit of a lower 8.
I'd give that a 9.
There is apparently a thing called Cracking Contraptions, which I haven't seen.
Oh yeah, that's a bunch of shorts that I've not seen in a while. I didn't bother to rewatch those in preparation for this.
I haven't seen that, so I can't put a rating on it. But
I've not seen it recently enough that I feel like I.
And then Curse of the Were-Rabbit, I give a 10. Already mentioned.
Yeah, 10 for me too.
A perfect rating. If Harry was here, I feel like Harry would almost certainly bump this average down.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think he'd like it, but he would be like the 7, 8 out of 10 territory. I don't know if he'd be the 10 out of 10.
Has he even seen?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I might ask him. I might send him a message later and find out. But yeah, a perfect film. He achieved with 2 people. So does it even really count?
Yeah.
I mean, it does count, but if we had 3 people,
it would count more.
In Death, I gave a 6.
Oh,
it's not a bad film.
What's your issue with Matter of Life and Death, mate?
I just didn't find it that interesting or engaging. Like the others, I found them like interesting and I found them to be fun. I just found Matter of Life and Death to be really quite just not very engaging to me.
Well, in that case, you're going to be very upset when I say this, and I'm glad that you will be. I'm giving it 8.5 out.
Fuck off! Fuck off!
Your only argument was, I didn't find it that engaging. That's okay. I found it engaging.
Oh, that is. It's got the
I'm all
same
about
average
watching
as
Gromit.
wherever. That's ridiculous.
I'm all about watching Gromit getting Wallace out of scrapes.
And then Wallace and Gromit Avengers vs. Fowl, which you haven't seen, and I might not put a rating on that for the
Yeah, you got to save that for.
I'll save that rating for that, but it's. I'll say this: it's one of my favorites of the year. I'll say that much. I'll just say that. It's a good look. If you like Wallace, I can't see many people disliking it. I think it's kind of, it's good, and I think
glowing review.
That is. Well, I don't want to say much. I want to save my feelings for the review of the year when we can when you've seen it, because it is pretty difficult to talk about. Because I'm like, man, there's all these things I want to mention.
Yes, which is why we aren't talking about it.
But I think that's pretty much it. I hope you've enjoyed listening to us gushing about this franchise for the last little while.
It's a sycophantically positive episode, apart from William hating on After of Loaf and Death for no reason.
Which we have ordered. We are less sycophant, I think. I think we were, not that we weren't positive, but we were certainly less. I honestly think we enjoyed just talking about. We just pitched a script and we just talked about. We just were laughing to ourselves about this sequel idea that we're like, oh mate, wouldn't that be a great sequel? Even though
we had a brilliant idea and we got quite indulgent about it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep most of that in because it's. I thought it was quite funny to. But it's one of my favorite things I've ever recorded while doing this podcast, because it's good. You're gonna love it. All right. Look forward to next week. Well, actually, technically, it'll probably be this week by the time this goes out. Look forward. It'll be our Christmas special, which will be so much fun. So and it'll probably be out on Christmas Day. So if instead of spending time with your family, if you celebrate Christmas, then just listen to our podcast instead.
Make the whole family listen to it. Instead of watching Elf, you should listen to our episode.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much all. Is there anything you would say, Barney?
No, I'm spent.
Well, yeah, thank you all for listening, and second last episode of 2024. We are nearly at the end of the Christmas special, and then two-part review of the year that we do every year, which is going to be a fun time. Barney started watching through some of the films we're going to talk about then. I've still got to watch a few of them as well, so I've got
a lot of homework to do.
Yeah, and there's some good things in there. There's some really quite appallingly bad things in there, to be honest. Like,
then there are some things that are just
one of the I mean, I'll say this. I'm not going to say what the film is, but I gave one of the films we're going to cover across the review of the out of 10. So be prepared.
I'm just going to quickly go to your letterbox to remind myself which one that is. I think I know which one you're referring to.
Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna say what it is, but it's not. There'll be some positives. There's some surprisingly good films, to be honest. There's some things that.
Just a quick update. Yes, that is the one I was thinking of.
There are some films genuinely surprised me, and I think surprised you, to be honest. There was like one of my favorites.
Yeah,
actually like surprisingly good films. Again, they are, but I'm just teasing the audience. So you've got some things to look forward to. And
it's a very exciting time.
I've got to say to Barney for joining me for this week's episode. I'm sure should be able to get on for review of the because good excuse to watch some new films as well. That's the only reason. It's not because we enjoy each other's company. We don't enjoy talking to each other. It's just to talk about some new films.
Yeah, once the recording ends, we just leave and we don't say anything.
Yeah, it's I just
William just says, "We're doing this film. Join the call at this time," and I do that.
Yeah, and then as soon as I stop recording, I just leave. I don't even say goodbye. I just leave the call, and that's it.
And then sometimes when he's
any
editing, the only time he'll talk to me is just to say, "I don't think you were that good in this one." It's very very healthy working relationship.
Yeah, man, on quite a bit here. I've had to edit out 10 minutes of this.
I've edited you out of the episode.
Yeah, Barney recorded that he just wasn't involved in. That I just edited out all of his audio. I just deleted.
It was just so appalling.
So that anytime him, it was quite He's actually Barney's been in like every episode. I just edited him out 90% of them.
Yeah, that's pretty gutting.
That's how it works.
Just gonna show my family, and now they're all really upset.
Yeah. You think we have like
it's a good bit. We're really getting the most out of it.
Yeah, we're really we should be improv comedians. We're quite good at improv. Clearly, yeah. But thank you for listening. And 2 episodes this week, so extra content for this week. So I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.